Alrighty, welcome y'all back to another back testing session. This is episode 6, I believe. So let's get this going. I'm gonna set up a couple things over here. Now, if you haven't seen any of my other back testing sessions, the whole point I'm doing this is just to condense reps and condense data and condense patterns. Now, I don't think back testing replaces live trading, but I typically take one trade a day, maybe. And so it gets really hard at one trade a day, like over the last year, to compile something meaningful in terms of patterns and data. And of course, you can and you do. But what I've found and what I'm utterly surprised by is by previously, maybe I'd pick a month and back test it and stop. And then a little while later, pick another month and another year or later in the year and back test that. And it was really hard to see the patterns. Whereas here in this back testing session, now that I'm able to get through a month in just a few days, I can start to see the patterns. And the patterns are, to me, just astonishing. Like even this month right here, for example, look how little I traded. I skipped a whole bunch of days because price action was consolidating and I didn't like it. And yet this month right here was, up 10R, and I had one losing trade. And so this is really hard in real time. Like in real time, you'd be going through this thinking like, oh my gosh, I have no clue what I'm doing. I can't even see what this market's going to do next. And instead of having a big losing month where I couldn't quite tell what was happening, I let it go. And I just watched price and I just skipped it and I didn't take any trades. And look how the month still turned out, up 10R. And in real time, that would just be really hard for me personally to palate, to take. I would just have a lot of doubts about myself. And so what I'm starting to see is, like, for me at least, what normal trading might look like. It might look like half the days I don't take a trade. And that's pretty astonishing to me. You know, as traders, we feel like pushing the button and taking action is what makes us money. And it's true. There's truth to, like, you have to push the money button to make the money. You have to seize the opportunity. Otherwise, it's an opportunity lost and money gone. And that's true too. But even, here this month, another 10R, and I had two losses, and I only traded half the month. So, anyways, this has just been eye-opening for me to condense a year's worth of back testing just day after day after day. And so I'm pretty excited to get through this, to collect all the data. Other things I've seen is, like, when I first started this session, I started it in February here, and look at this, like a negative 2R red month. And I'm like, geez, what's going on? Apparently I can't trade. And then I come into March and I go, dang, minus 3R. I guess 2 months, two red months in a row, I can't trade. And so I started doubting myself a lot. And if I was living through this real time, that would be pretty hard to palate as a trader. Like, it's 2 solid months of the year where you think you can't trade, you can't get it right, you doubt yourself, you question yourself. And then all of a sudden, come April, I hardly changed anything. And I'll clarify that here in a minute. I hardly changed anything. And look at this, up 10R, and then up 10R, and then whatever we are for June, up 5R or something, 6R. And I didn't change really much of anything that mattered. And I'll clarify that. So if we look at the P&L curve here, I hate this little hover thing because it's like it gets in the way of seeing the chart. But ultimately, my model just wasn't working for me for the first 2 months of the year. And we can see here 3 months almost even. And around January, February, that's March, I guess. Or, well, I wasn't trading January, but that's not shown on the chart. Doesn't matter. We can see the P&L curve just took off. And that's when my model started working. Now, the only thing that I did is somewhere in here, right about here, I think I changed from 1-to-1 to 3-to-1. And that has helped a ton. But when I looked back at this data, it would have helped only marginally. I would have been, instead of down 5R, I would have been down 2R. So it still would have been, here in the red. And I still would have dug it down another few trades before the P&L curve started taking off. So anyways, that's a long-winded explanation. Let's dive into it. Let's see where we're at. So here's July. We're starting July 7th here. Check the calendar. Oh, interesting. So the week before was a weird week with a bank holiday and then non-farm on Thursday. Didn't provide many opportunities for me. Now this week here we have very little in terms of red folders. So we have FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday, which is really doesn't matter. It's not the real FOMC. And then we have unemployment claims, which I don't trade at 8:30 in the morning, so it doesn't matter a ton. So we have very little to worry about in terms of red folders. Interesting. All right, so let's zoom out here to the weekly chart. So NQ is blasting through all-time highs. We're gapping up. We're currently inside the previous week's candle, so with a imbalance below currently. So if we think about, in terms of like the open, high, low, close for a candle should open, it should make a low, a high, and then a close kind of thing if we're bullish. So here, not that it can't leave a gap like this candle, but this candle is a compression candle so far relative to all the previous candles. So I'm imagining that we're going to open low, fill in this inefficiency between these two wicks, and then expand further. That's my guess at this point in time. Unless we take off from here and take the high first, then I would think it to be more of an open, high, low, close kind of candle, maybe coming in to this inefficiency kind of thing. Because I got to be on alert for some kind of bearish movement. We have taken all-time highs. Now, all-time highs beget all-time highs, but once you take, external range liquidity, so like this candle, we tend to come back down in and then sweep back up. So you take this high right here, come back down to internal, sweep out this liquidity, come back up here, take out this high, come back down, maybe sweep out something down in here and discount, and then continue on. That's how all-time highs work. So zooming into the daily, Friday was a Thursday, Monday. Friday was a bank holiday, so it's not showing that Friday's candle. But we can see some relative equal lows below, opening up inside of this candle. Obviously, it's bullish, but we do have an imbalance and an inefficiency below here between this wick and this tail and that wick. Okay, so here on the 4-hour chart, similar kind of thing, just internal, external, internal, external, internal kind of thing. Let's take a look ES and YM at this point. So similar. They're floating upwards. Let's look at the 2 a.m. candle. The 2 a.m. 4-hour candle is important to me. I like seeing what it did. So the 2 a.m. candle did come down into this volume imbalance on the 4-hour. There is a bullish SMT, so that's interesting. However, it did not appear to yet make it above this 4-hour sell side imbalance, and a couple of times too. So it kind of makes me feel like it wants to come down a little bit first. So here on the 1-hour chart, there is a little fair value gap here. This is the 8 o'clock candle. So 1 hour is kind of consolidating. I would like to see it come down for a long, probably. Otherwise, I don't think I have a opportunity to get in on any shorts. Let's see here. So here's the 15-minute chart. We're going to look at the put the midnight open price on, and we don't have any red folders today, but we want to mark the 9:30. I like to do that. All right, cool. We're all set up and ready to go. Zooming into the 1 minute here. So we do have some of these minor relative equal lows. We do have a little bit of trend line liquidity up there. And then more equal lows at London low. Lots of equal lows below. All right, so let's play price forward. Okay, price just floating down, continuing to develop more trend line liquidity. Couple of minutes before open. So it took this equal low, kind of starting to reverse, but there's no like real breaker or anything. Curious to see what 930 does. Okay, 930 opens bullish. I'm gonna zoom out here just a little bit. I want to look at the 1 hour. So here is this 1 hour gap. 1 hour volume imbalance. There's this 1 hour fair value gap right here. But for me, when I could see like traditional patterns like this, a wedge, I really don't like that. So I'm going to sit on my hands for a few minutes. Okay, interesting. So it made a nice little inversion after a liquidity grab. 937 is still inside the macro. So here the pattern appears, but doesn't make any sense with bias and narrative. 4 hour is consolidating in this fair value gap here. It's between this volume imbalance and this fair value gap here. This 1 hour took these lows, but it didn't tap into this gap here. 15 minutes compression candle so far. ES and YM. I do like what ES and YM have done. So here on ES, it came down into this fair value gap right there. I like that. See, ES is actually making structure. Now YM came down into this gap too. So that's suggesting that maybe it doesn't want to come any lower. We do have bullish SMT forming. Do have some relative equal highs above. You know, I give this a lower probability than usual, I think. We did take London low, didn't take this low. So if it could be still be bullish, but I'm kind of like thinking it's a little more bearish. So I'm going to let this one go. All right, so we have an order block to add to it. It's 941. All right. Okay, a little more of a seek and destroy kind of session. I need to document this, or I'm going to count this as one of my trades that's a hesitating trade. So one thing I'm tracking here is trades I hesitate on. And so this was a trade I hesitated on and I skipped. It would have ended up being a loss. And so 1 hour sideways between PD arrays. We can see that there's a 27% chance of a trade I skip winning, which is pretty low, and that's telling me, and I'm not tracking any more my confident trades, although I guess I probably should for comparison's sake, but this is just looking at the trades I'm hesitant in skipping, making sure I'm not leaving opportunity on the table in a profitable way, and so far I'm not. Not that that can't change, that's a small set of data, and it can change. All right, so creating equal lows, equal highs. Let's just keep clicking forward. So it's a bit of a seek and destroy kind of session. Did we have any clues about that? Let's look. Not really, because other than we are between PD arrays and the 1 hour is a little bit sideways, we can also look to see if London session, purple, if London takes Asia's low and Asia's high, that's an indication that New York AM might be seek and destroy. It's like 65% chance. All right, so just clicking forward the morning session here. It's going nowhere, 10:30-ish. Still just sideways. Whole lot of nothing. I gotta go till 12 though, because that's what my rules say. My chart's until 12. And one thing I'm adding to my backtesting session is now, if there's no trades in the AM session, I'm allowing myself to trade the PM session after 1:30. So let's see here. We'll zoom out to the 15-minute chart. There's 1:30. Boom. 12:15. All right, so there's 1:15. Let's see what we got going on now. Zoom out a little bit on the chart. So here, the 1 hour is coming down for these lows into this fair value gap. Like, is, you know, it's possible. So that's all it wanted. Let's compare that to ES and YM. So ES did come down and take these lows, come down to this gap here. And YM came back down into discount. So we have some bullish SMTs down here with this low at 12 o'clock. The 15-minute chart here shows C2 closures. So C1, C2, C1, C2 candle. But I still don't feel like I have anything in here, so we'll keep going. I like to see the reversals around 2:30. And just to contextualize this for me, it's helpful if I mark out the lunch range. So 12 to 1. kind of thing. Good enough. It doesn't matter the exact time. Let's do this. Let's make this box orange. Kind of thing. And I'm going to save it as launch session. So wanting to see some kind of purge, lunch raid. I don't need this red line, do I? So like we can see, I'm looking at this liquidity and it's not very, it's pretty jagged. You know, price comes down, comes up, comes down, comes up, down, makes a bunch of liquidity and then takes it out. So I'm not seeing this as a nice, like on a higher time frame, there's a nice little trend line. But I'm not seeing that as a likely target. But I need something obvious. So here, getting close to 2 o'clock, creating some equal lows. All right, outside of the 210 macro, first 150 to 210 macro. Okay, here we go. Starting to distribute towards sell side nicely. All right, so what do we have here? We've swept lunch lows. The AM session is all the short sellers from the AM session have been in profit. So here on the weekly, we've tapped down and filled in that inefficiency. So this could be the low of the week, potentially, if the week is going to be bullish. So on the daily, we tapped into this daily volume imbalance. Those are pretty dang powerful. We're below it though. Tapped into this 4-hour fair value gap. Took all the 1-hour liquidity right through here. So all that's taken. And what's this, the 2 o'clock candle? Yeah, so it's not closed yet. No matter where it closes, there probably will be bullish SMT with YM. So this low and this low, this low and this low. I would have liked to have seen it dug deeper into this fair value gap. We don't have any local, like consecutive candle SMT. This 15 minutes looking like it's going to close. Let's see here. What time is this? This is the 15 after, so 2:15 candle. And so we do have a C2 on the 5-minute. This candle closed within this candle's range. So really it meets all the criteria. We have this, oh, I want this whole thing, so IFVG. It is inside a macro. Okay. We do have these, just a little bit of liquidity right there. But I think it's worth a shot. Okay. Offsides. It wants to do it now, doesn't it? Um, what do we think? Worth a second shot? I mean, there's high probability targets, equal highs. We are inside the macro still. Zooming out, can I justify it? I mean, it's just not dug. The only my hesitation behind it this time is it didn't dig very deep into that fair value gap. Um, and it might want to continue on for some more bearish delivery for maybe Monday and Tuesday down to these lows before reversing for bullish delivery. So what other clues do we have? So we do have a local bullish SMT. I think it's worth one more shot. We have this inversion breaker. And it could be totally offsides. Okay. Pushed away. I can go break even at 1R, which we're about there. 1R. So it's leaving a lot of tailless candles, 1, 2, 3, but it's not distributing very fast. It's making me feel like it's building liquidity for continuation to sell side. So maybe if it reaches the 786 of this range, other way around, it might reverse 786 or it takes those equal highs. But my rule is I don't really trail my stop. It's 3R or 1R. For the most part, I've trailed my stop. And I don't know. I haven't fully decided. So here, I'm going to take these highs. Okay, those highs are taken. So if it's going to reverse, it's probably going to be here. See, right there. Oh boy, just going to float all afternoon. So what was that? 2.4R roughly. That's how the game goes sometimes. At this point, it doesn't matter if I get 30 bucks or $6. It can take some of these equal lows and then continue. We shall see. See, just like that. Now at this point, to me, if it comes down for this low again, like it's just coming for me. So I'm gonna assume this was enough liquidity. So here's this low and here's this low. I think it's enough that it's either going to my target or not. Okay, see, we're pushing up. Oh, just teasing me, huh? This would be a horrible trade to be in. Okay, partial win. And there into the evening in Asia session. So partial win. So I trailed my TP right there. Alrighty, so what do we got? Oops, caps lock, tab, caps lock. Don't want to be yelling at things. So we had a minus half hour probably today. Yeah, roughly. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So Tuesday, same thing, no news. Go to start of the New York session, and we'll zoom out again. Want to look at the weekly. So like I was saying, now that the week has come down, balanced out this inefficiency and tapped into this, I'm going to presume that's the end. That's the tail of the candle, and we'll be performing more expansion for targeting the previous week's high. At least at this point in time, I don't think we're coming down into here. All right, so the daily tapped into this volume imbalance. We do have a tail this candle. That's interesting. So tailless candle on all of these days. So created an order block of volume imbalance. We took the previous day low. We shall see. I don't like that tailless candle because it's going to want to come down and make a tail possibly. So here on the 4 hour, all right, so we tapped into this 4 hour fair value gap. Since we came all the way down in a discount of this range, this right here. Came down to the 50% level. And we flipped this. It flipped this tiny little fair value gap right here. So flip that fair value gap. The 2 a.m. candle did stop on this larger range candle, but we have these trend line liquidity up in here. So let's look for any SMT. I'm not seeing SMT with these lows, and look for bearish SMT. We do have bearish SMT between these two candles and then these two candles. So there is that piece. All right, going down to the 1 hour. A little uglier, kind of trading within this range here. Tiny fair value gap right there. And then within locally kind of ranging right here too. Not my favorite. We shall see. Let's go to the 15-minute. Consolidating around midnight open now. When I look at this here, I'm kind of seeing a little bit of an accumulation range more than anything. London did take Asia's high. It did come up into premium, form these equal lows. Is that the high a day? I don't, because we typically look to see did overnight make the low or the high of the day? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything significant enough in there, like a 4-hour or daily level, to consider that to be the high of the day. Not saying it can't pop up and then make the high of the day and continue bearishly. It still could do that. So 15-minute order flow is bearish. 1 hour order flow, I'm considering this bullish. It did do a change in state, but then it did another change in state of delivery. So we're bullish on the 1 hour. Same thing with the 4 hour. There was a change in state of delivery. I'm anticipating this to fail. So still on a more bullish bias. I am aware that the daily could want to come back down and make that tail. So we'll keep an eye on that. Kind of have these semi-relative equal highs right here. Semi-relative equal lows down here. So let's fast forward and see. All right, here we go, 9:30. Looks like it wants sell side. Okay. Nothing yet. Formed an order block here. Just kind of consolidating. There we go. I want to see it push down further. There we go. This is looking nice. So that closed above that inversion. So let's zoom out and see what we got here. All right, so we came down to that 1 hour fair value gap. ES came down into discount. There's no fair value gap, created some equal lows. YM Did create some equal lows, came down into discount. So this thing is either flipping bearish and I'm going to get caught off sides trying to long it, or it's time for a long on YM and Q. So NQ on the 4 hour, so it did come down into this gap. Already retested that, left all this trend line. We have a 4 hour C3, and there's a C1, a C2. So here's the 9 a.m. candle is a C2, C1. So I would be front running the idea of this being a C2 candle. Oh, I didn't check for any SMT. I'm going to do that real quick. So we do have SMT between YM and NQ, and this low here and this low. They're equal on YM. Ooh, not quite. Interesting. Okay, not quite. So let's check the 15 minutes, see if we get a clearer picture. Anything? Maybe not. So no SMT. Okay. Can I use this low maybe? Here. It's not that significant. It is there. So there is an SMT with this low on the chart. All right, so we have a 1 hour gap. SMT 15 minute formed a C2 candle. So that's a C2. Well, that's a C1. These are technically both C2s. The 5 minute chart. So I'm not like 100% confident in this one. I think it's worth trying. It meets all the criteria. I just have a little bit of a feeling like it could want to keep rolling over. And that's my hesitation. It's more so than anything in particular, just a slight feeling, but that can be wrong sometimes too. So I'm trying to be a little more open and like, here's the model. It presents itself and it's clean. There should be no reason why I shouldn't take it. Oops, market. Buy. It's in the macro. It meets all the criteria. But I do want to note what my gut says. Okay, so I already got some nice expansion off of that. Approximately 1 hour. All right. So we're break even on the trade. See what happens. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is one of those trades where I probably could have held it for more and just trailed. Let's see. Yep, look at that. We'll print some more candles. And look at that. So off sides. And I think that's important because of what I was feeling. Now I just want to print more candles and find out, is this thing bearish or is this thing bullish or what's it want? Because of course the ideal scenario is that I take a trade that is in alignment with the order flow. So at this point, it's just going sideways. Cool. I just want to maybe pop up to the 15-minute chart. Okay, so look at that. That's what I wanted to know. I was on sides. I called the level for the reversal pretty much. It wanted one level deeper is what I call this, where sometimes you just get stopped out and it goes one level deeper than makes your model and does the thing. But it kind of went into a bit of a consolidation on maybe the 15 or 1 hour kind of time frame. And then expanded. So by and large, it's nice to know that I was right. Like I called the zone, I called the direction, I called the nearly the timing of it. But cool, that's a W. All right, so we're up 784 on the day. So on the week so far, we're up 690, up 784 on the day. Cool, cool, cool. sense. So now, look, zooming out to the weekly, similar kind of thing. We're just one day ahead. This Tuesday candle closed inside the range of this candle. We have this volume imbalance down here on the daily. Okay, so it makes a little more sense. So here's that low. We're kind of consolidating sideways a little bit on the 4-hour. Curious to look at the ES and YM. So we do have a bullish SMT down at this low. This is a 2 a.m. low. So this 2 a.m. took this liquidity, bullish SMT. So bullish order flow. However, the 1 hour we can kind of see is sideways within this kind of range. I don't like that. Here's a tailless candle. Here is a 1 hour fair value gap. So I think that I'm going to kind of want to see 930 a little bit. We have no news today. Here's 12 a.m. So price is above 12 a.m. It does look like London formed a breaker with an SMT into a 1 hour fair value gap. So it's possible it's low a day. It's not a 4-hour or a daily level, which would make me more confident that that was London low of the day. Let's see what we get though. Zooming in on the 1 minute. Whole bunch of trendline liquidity down here. I'll look at this. So 850 made a reversal. I'm curious, is this into a higher time frame level though? Not really. On the 1 hour at least. Yeah, I'm still more bullish. So I'm imagining 930 I would like to see 930 open low and then rally. But I don't get to control what the market does. I just get to push the button. Okay, so we had a manipulation and then a impulse move here after the manipulation. Maybe there's a 15-minute gap. Oh, glad I looked at the 15 a little closer. Kind of looking ugly here. The 15 was looking a little wicky. Okay, 930 is opening bullish. Very bullish. And I do like these kind of setups where I'm more okay taking a 850 to 910 trade because they can sometimes do this. I don't like trading prior to 930 when it gets to the 920 time frame. Okay, so just expanding. One-sided delivery. Continuing London's trend. So this expansion is going for quite a ways, feeling a little more like the direction for the session than a Judas swing. The Judas swing being a fake move in the opposite direction of the daily expansion. So favoring longs was I was on side favoring longs. Just not going to short this, I don't think. So making a new all-time high right there. I don't even care. I'm not going to short it. If the AM wants to come back down into discount and give a long somewhere, well, maybe. Maybe. Although it just took the all-time high. So here's the short playing out. All right, retracing down into discount. you know, when we get moves like this, they can roll over and then just create super low resistance, run back down into the consolidation that formed them. So ultimately, the short was a good short. I didn't even check to see if there was SMT. Possible I could have been stopped out, but I'm gonna have a hard time longing here with this liquidity taken. There's like really little for targets. I feel like this is a bit of a session I kind of don't want to trade. You know, here's a nice looking long. Ooh, yeah. It looks nice on the 1 minute, but when I zoom out, I'm seeing it more bearishly. And it's one of those weird places where like you're probably better off being bullish, but I could see it coming down for some of these lows and some of this inefficiency too. It just that open just swept all of this buy side liquidity. All of my targets are gone, so I kind of only would have this target here, plus the inefficiency that's formed here. This fair value gap. So this is probably a break. This is a breakaway gap, and then this one here is a fair, just probably a normal fair value gap. So I'm going to chalk this up to a, let's check to see if there's SMT first. All right, so there is SMT. There's no 1 hour level. No 4 hour level. There's that daily volume imbalance. So here's a 15-minute fair value gap. Just IFVG, but I'm going to skip this one. I feel like it's going to get stomped on. Look at that. So here's a trade I can track for my spidey sense being right. So 11 o'clock, forming yet another. So now it did sweep some of that liquidity right there. I mean, if it was down in here, maybe I would. So there's one. And I'm gonna say I'm not interested in this either. So 2. 3 drives pattern 1, 2, 3. So now here's a breaker, but no inversion. And which, like, yeah, 1140. So I'm anticipating more sideways movement. Some equal highs right there. So 12 o'clock. It's pretty much my cutoff window. All right, so I'll journal that a little bit later. So there's no trades here today. We can look at the PM session. And we're just going to go straight to 2 o'clock. So kind of consolidating and floating upwards. So there's that. Here's 2. 2 o'clock was the FOMC meeting minutes. Generally not a big mover. All right, so what are we looking at here? Let's zoom out, just gather myself. So the 1 hour is looking really ugly. Same thing, 4 hour. The 15-minute does have this gap right here. And all of this liquidity below, though that would be against order flow in general. So I don't know. There's a so it's not in a macro. This volume, this inversion to me, well, take it either way, but it's not in a macro. Come on, move. So there's no bearish SMT. There's a PD array SMT, but no bearish SMT. I think it wants to go down. It didn't get this tailless candle on ES though. Just make sure I'm not missing anything here. So YM came into the second fair value gap, whereas ES and NQ did not. I don't use PD array SMT for my primary. I want to see normal SMT. And then if there's PD array SMT, cool. So, and coming against shorts anyways. So no SMT, no trade. Just continuing to float upwards. Three o'clock. So yeah, it's forming more liquidity down in here. So really, what's this? It looks like 2 o'clock itself was probably your long. Did I miss that? No, there was no, I didn't miss anything. That to me is not price action I want to be a part of. Okay, so I'm going to call that a day. Boy, Wednesday, no trade. So let's keep going. Thursday the 10th. Thursday, July 10th, unemployment claims at 8:30. Cool, cool. Go to start a New York session. We can zoom out again, the weekly. So previous week high was taken. So I'm imagining we'll expand beyond that. So here's the daily volume imbalance, closed way up above here, above these two candles. Overnight already balanced this candle out and took this high again. But the way I trade all-time highs is I just long them. Oh, I want to make a note for myself. Where could I do that? I'm gonna go over here real quick and make a note for myself on another screen. Okay. Forgot to document yesterday's trading. And yeah, I do that. I document everyday back testing, just like somewhat like I do live trading. I do way more documenting on my live trading. So the 4-hour, what do we got? Just kind of floating up. Let's look at the 2 a.m. candle. I don't like this. It's just kind of ugly. Same thing here. 1 hour is just continuing to float up. So it looks like YM is not in sync with ES and NQ. We can see YM pushing bearishly, created a change in state of delivery on the 4-hour and is respecting it so far. Bearish SMT up here. So this is where, like, even though I keep longing all-time highs, I'm on high alert because this is not looking great. It's looking to me like it wants to roll over. Haven't seen a good internal range retracement for a while now. Look at all this overextendedness in the market, tons of liquidity. So yeah, just means being more cautious, a little more selective in my opinion. So London took Asia's high and low. That's an indication for a possibility for seek and destroy conditions. Some relative equal lows right down in here. So we look at this trend line liquidity. See how this 830 is it unemployment claims? Yeah. Took out this high. Kind of makes me think it's going to go down. But let's see. Okay, I have spike before 930. Okay, I was wrong. 930 wants to go up. It's all ugly. Oh boy, I thought about just for a split second. Here's an inversion. But that was just so not clean. So in the end, I was right. 930 did want to go down. Okay, so 3R would have been attained. But I don't think I could have framed something out off of that really. So I don't. I need to come back and think about this one. Did I? I'll look in this one in more depth and decide if I missed anything later. All right, so retesting 12 a.m. Okay, so just distributing towards sell side. I just noticed this, and there's a 5-minute gap. Tapped into that daily volume imbalance. Tapped into that 4-hour. Tapped into that 1 hour. I might have missed it. So my model really wasn't here. Too tiny of a gap. That's still a pretty small gap, but there was a stop hunt. Questionable. All right, so 1045 outside of macro. Kind of an ugly breaker. So just prices moving sideways after that distribution. This level is irrelevant. So 11:45 on the clock, kind of coming to the end of the morning session. So did I miss anything? Possibly this, and this is I'm going to think about this, but not right now. It retraced into a 5-minute gap and then continued. So that's not something I typically do, but I've been thinking about doing more of. And then this guy right here, just questionable. So there's nothing that I would see like solidly, oh man, yeah, I missed a good trade. I guess we can move on. I'm gonna look at no trades in the AM session here, so I'll look to the PM session as well. So here is a tap into this 15-minute fair value gap. I don't trade the lunch hour, but I betcha there's an inversion there. There's a bunch of them. So right there, during lunch hour. So that's the 130 candle. I'll do one more candle forward. Okay, so we tapped into here. That fair value gap, that volume imbalance. So we're back on the 1 minute. So it's rebalanced this whole 15-minute gap here. But the 1 hour's closed above this fair value gap, so I would anticipate continuation. So I'm not interested in a short here. But I also don't think I'm going to get a long. The last couple days, I've just noticed price just starts to float one direction or the other. So here's another really tiny inversion volume imbalance combo. Closing in on 3 o'clock, price is consolidating. Okay, liquidity sweep, but I don't have a model. And approaching 330, just sideways. $15-minute sideways. There's no 15-minute gap down in here. 1 hour compression candle. Okay. Outside of macro, no higher time frame level for a short. 15 minutes just in a PD a barcode pattern, so there's no short opportunity for me there. Now, I don't take trades at this late in the day, but yeah, I don't see it. So no higher time frame level. No 15-minute level even. All right, so no trade. And that pretty much sums up the day. Okay, so Thursday, no trade as well. Okay, here we go. Friday is the last day of this week. Let's see what we get. Go to next session. And let's zoom out to the weekly. So far, the compression candle taking previous week's high, which would make a little bit of sense to come down into this fair value gap. Daily's kind of starting to look like it wants to roll over. Okay, so we have bearish SMT at these highs. Four-hour chart. So the 4-hour to me is just forming a bit of a range. Let's look for the 2 a.m. candle. Didn't really do anything of significance. We do have liquidity, kind of trend line liquidity building up. We do have some relative, semi-relative equal lows in this fair value gap here. So 1-hour chart. So here's a fair value gap above. We are trending bearishly. Order flow is bearish on the 1-hour. So here on the 4-hour, we technically do have, this is a change in state of delivery on the 4-hour, which is significant, especially given that there's room below. If it was changing the state down here, I might be a little less bearish, but I think we can go with it. Oh, interesting. So Asia and London kind of equal. 12 a.m. is above, so that's a bullish signature. Let's just take a quick look at these lows. The computer's a little slow. I have so many tabs open. So we do have a bullish SMT down in here, so it would make sense to come up into 12 a.m., then distribute a little further for sell side. There's this 1-hour gap above, so I could see it popping up and then down. Just a guess. $9.30 right there. Okay, 9:30 pushing up. So it came into that fair value gap. Rejecting so far. Not really seeing a bearish SMT, unfortunately. Unless we use this swing, which it's not a significant swing. I really like them when they're clear swings like this swing and this swing. Although I guess we do have a bearish SMT with this swing. So there's a bearish SMT into a 1-hour fair value gap aligned with order flow. In the macro, I think it's worth a shot. Give it a little more room given that it's 9:30. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm going straight to break even after that. Could want to come back for me. Okay, so let's see here. I'm more or less just going to leave my stop up there. So this is a tough call. We took this liquidity pool right here. So I'm aiming for 3R, which is down there. I'm not supposed to trail my stop. That's my rule. I'm just wanting to. There's this untapped fair value gap right here. See that candle right there? I'm not liking that. I feel like it wants to just keep going. Right there. Okay. So that was a break even. So really, if my stop would have been shorter, I would have got my 3R out of that one. So be it. I gave it a little bit of room, but maybe I didn't need to. So tapped into this 1 hour volume imbalance. 4 hours just kind of consolidating downwards here. 2 a.m. So it took the 2 a.m. candle low. I'm not stoked about a long. It did tap into that volume imbalance. So do we have any SMT down at these lows? We do have SMT down at these lows. So here on the 1 hour, there is this volume imbalance that I'm looking at. I just feel like it wants to roll over. I really do. So I'm going to let this one go. I'm going to chalk this up to a trade I'm going to hesitate to enter. Let's put up a position tool before we go any further. I probably would have marketed in, probably. Giving it a little bit of room. It still would have been a larger stop. Something like that. Okay, I would have gone break even now. And break even. All right, let me rethink that real quick. I'm just curious. I want to see. So it just depends. I don't know which I would have done. I generally like to give this fair value gap a little bit more room below, but seeing as how it closed so far above it, maybe I could have tucked it up a little tighter. So that's a tough call, whether that would have been a win or not, or a break even. Tough call. Either way, I'll record that a little bit later. And let's see where we end up on this week. So basically break even on that day. Oh, well, it says green, but not really. So I'm up 3R on this week. And I'll take it. I'll take it. Trying to see if we can, let's do, what is this, July 7th through the 12th. So 75% win rate. And then it doesn't show my day win rate, but that's okay. Interesting. See the P&L. Oh, well, that's just for this week, I guess. All right, so slower month. July has definitely been slower. I'll take it, though it's still green. So yeah, I guess that wraps up this episode of backtesting, and we'll continue on for the next episode in the 14th of July. All right, one more thing. I want to look at the review for the week in this other spreadsheet because it's helpful for me to look at this. So the red day, I had one partial win, one expense that went one level deeper, so it was relatively on size, and it says smaller stop loss, and I missed an 11 o'clock long. So I'm curious actually to pull up that trade real quick. Was it this trade? No, it must have been the partial trade. Dashboard. Yeah, had I run a shorter stop loss, I would have got 3R out of that. And then, so Monday, I could have ran a shorter stop loss and been, and actually kept myself from that expense. I'm wondering, is that true? That would also be an interesting data point. So, no, that's not true. I took the loss before I took the win. Then a win on Tuesday. No model on Wednesday. No model on Thursday. We had very floaty PA, shorting all-time highs, just ugly. And then same thing here. I had the break even that was a win, or it would have been a winner if I had a shorter stop loss. So the themes for this week is there's fewer setups, all-time highs, and twice my stop loss was size larger than normal, which means I would have gotten 3R instead of break even, which would have meant I would have been up like 9R on the week. Would have been up 9R instead of 3R. So that's notable. Here twice, I upped my stop loss size and I should have tightened it. So I'm making note of that, and I think that's important for going forward. So yeah, I guess that does officially wrap up the this episode of backtesting.